Good morning. Welcome to Breakfast with Roger Johnson and Rachel Burden.
Hello, good morning. Our headlines today. It's Sunday, May the 16th. Our top story this morning. The Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu has vowed to continue to respond forcefully to rocket attacks as the conflict with Palestinians in Gaza enters a seventh day.
Last night, US President Joe Biden spoke by phone to the Israeli Prime Minister and the Palestinian leader Mahmoud Abbas. Helena Wilkinson reports. Efforts are being stepped up to combat the increase in the Indian variant of coronavirus as lockdown restrictions are eased in England, Wales and much of Scotland tomorrow.
Yeah, it comes amid a huge demand for coronavirus jabs as the vaccine rollout moves to people in their 30s. Our correspondent Daniela Relf has more. Now, 3 police officers have been injured and 20 people were arrested after clashes broke out in Glasgow as Rangers fans celebrated their first Scottish Premiership trophy in a decade.
Thousands of supporters took to the streets despite warnings against large gatherings due to coronavirus. Our Scotland reporter Alexandra Mackenzie reports. Santander says all of its services have returned to normal after technical problems meant customers were unable to access their money for much of yesterday.
Now, from tomorrow, holidaymakers from the UK will be allowed to enter Portugal despite lockdown restrictions being extended there.
Yeah, lucky you if you're going on holiday. The country is on the UK's green list, which means travellers do not need to self-isolate on their return. But proof of a negative COVID test will be needed in order to enter the country. Nick Beake reports. Well, let's take a look at some of the Sunday papers. We were looking inside them, but and just for a moment, imagine this. You might not have to. Maybe this is your reality. Waking up this morning, pulling back your curtains and seeing stuff you can read about, though, on the BBC News website if you want to have a little look at that as well.
Yeah. Let's have a quick look at a couple of insides that we were looking at just before we started. This is from inside the Sunday Telegraph. Jackie Weaver, of course, who became incredibly famous after appearing in the Handforth Parish Council. Woman down. She's
radio
fantastic,
legendary.
isn't she? Yeah.
A lot of talk about opening up next week, and I know a lot of people will be looking forward to newfound freedoms, although with the caution of everything that's going on with this Indian variant as well. But one of the things that's opening up, we were just talking about it over the weekend, is the cinemas actually, and whether we're going to get back in. Peter Rabbit 2 is top of the list.
That's the big one for you.
Yeah, it is. But apparently Marvel are going to be releasing all kinds of superhero films over the next 18 months, but they have endless stories to draw on that they're still churning out all the Marvel films for. So I see it as a way forward anyway.
We've got time for a final one. I'm sure the Sun have only done this just for the headline, really. Away the lads. It's all about, if they're male, obviously. And the top table there goes all the way down to Wolves with just 16%. So obviously, if you live in the Black Country, you've got a good head of hair.
Do you know, Chelsea fans will have been tearing their hair out yesterday following that FA Cup final, but it was very entertaining if you were neutral watching it. Brilliant result for Leicester.
In fairness, a goal worthy of winning.
Oh, yeah, and a save worthy of securing the cup final as well. So we'll talk more about that with John and the sport a little bit later on.
Shall we have a quick look at the weather, though? 13 minutes past 6. Let's see how it's looking for the day ahead. Nick, morning to you.
Yeah, I just keep telling myself we need the rain. We need the rain.
We do, although it would be nice if it stopped soon. Nick, thank you. 16 minutes past 6 now. Earlier this year, Europe's vaccination rollout was facing criticism for being too slow and lagging behind the UK and the United States.
Well, just a few months later, some EU countries have turned their programmes round and are delivering jabs at record rates, as our Europe correspondent G. Mackenzie reports.
Nice shots of the beaches there. We're going to be talking a bit about the restrictions being lifted and easing and people able to go on holiday to Portugal from tomorrow a little bit later in the programme. Coming
up to 20 past 6 here on BBC Breakfast. Time for Newswatch now with Samira Ahmed. Morning, this is Breakfast with Roger Johnson and Rachel Burden.
Good morning. We're just one day away now from restrictions being relaxed further across most of the UK, meaning pubs and restaurants will be able to serve customers indoors and social distancing guidelines will be relaxed.
But the Prime Minister has warned the India variant could make it more difficult to move to step 4 in June. Well, let's speak to one of our regulars in Newbury.
6:38, let's round up all of the sport. Busy weekend, as always. I suppose if there's ever going to be a single goal to decide.
Stay with a bit of sport now, aren't we?
We're going to talk sailing. The British sailor Pip Hare captivated audiences around the globe when she became the 8th woman ever to sail single-handedly non-stop around the world.
And now, just months after crossing the finishing line, she's announced she's going to do it all over again. Our reporter James Burridge has been to find out more.
It is an amazing challenge. I was there, it was 20 odd years ago that Ellen MacArthur did it.
Yes.
And you see the people in France. I mean, it's absolutely, literally, not obviously because of COVID this time, but thousands and thousands and thousands of people. It's tremendous, tremendous
Fair
challenge.
play to her for even thinking about doing it
absolutely.
again. Time, we've got a bit of weather right now. Nick Miller's here to tell us what's going on.
Very much. I'd like to say try and bring us a better forecast next time you're on in half an hour, but it'll just
I'll
be
work at it.
Interesting, isn't it?
If you were living on a sort of rocky outpost in a castle, completely exposed to all weathers, what would that be like at the moment?
Wet.
Appealing at times, but blimey, you'd feel it, wouldn't you? Have you heard about this job that's going at St
No,
Michael's
what, are you trying to get rid of me?
Yeah. Well, Rog, I quite fancy it myself. So it's in St Michael's Mount in Cornwall, this job. You might know it. It's one of those places that you often see if you get the train along that coastline as well. It's absolutely beautiful, but it's a remote island, only accessible at certain points of the day.
You can only get there at low tide, can't you?
Or at low tide, And now they're looking for a live-in employee to work there as basically the castle keep. Andrea Ormsby has been to find out more.
It's not surprising loads of people would fancy that.
Not surprising at all. It's an incredible opportunity. Beautiful part of the world as well. It's 6:55. Now, big bell and booming voice at the ready, Roger.
Ding, ding. Hear ye, hear ye. I haven't got the job. The British Town Crier Championships has returned and I'm not in it. The pandemic meant the competition was held in silence. Silence? How can you do it in silence? For the first time, with all the entries written instead of being performed out loud. Maybe I would have stood a chance there.
Well, let's find out how, because Alistair Chisholm is the returning champion. He's added a further victory to his existing 10 wins, and that's magnificent to see. I just feel sorry for anyone else in this competition, because you've obviously just...
Those are no good. That's the problem.
But there you go. You've solved the problem.
Because you did kindly record this for us, so we can give people a sense of what it sounds like when it's delivered properly. So have a listen to this. There was a clear theme, wasn't there, this year? Just tell us, we picked up a flavour of it there. You had to be very, well, you chose a very specific theme.
Morning, welcome to Breakfast this Sunday morning with Roger Johnson and Rachel Burden.
Good morning. Our headlines today, it's Sunday, May the 16th. Our top story today, the Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu has vowed to continue to respond forcefully to rocket attacks as the conflict with the Palestinians in Gaza enters a 7th day.
Last night, US President Joe Biden spoke by phone to the Israeli Prime Minister and the Palestinian leader Mahmoud Abbas. Helena Wilkinson reports.
Efforts are being stepped up to combat the increase in the Indian variant of coronavirus as lockdown restrictions are eased in England, Wales and much of Scotland tomorrow.
And it comes amid huge demand for coronavirus jabs as the vaccine rollout moves to people in their 30s. Our correspondent Daniela Ralph has more. 20 people arrested after clashes broke out in Glasgow as Rangers fans celebrated their first Scottish Premiership trophy in a decade.
Yes, thousands of supporters took to the streets despite warnings against large gatherings due to coronavirus. Our Scotland reporter Alexandra Mackenzie reports.
Santander says all of its services have returned to normal after technical problems meant customers were unable to access their money for much of yesterday. It's 8 minutes past 7 now. From mobile testing units to a push to speed up vaccinations, the government says it's doing everything it can to halt the spread of the so-called Indian variant of coronavirus.
Yes, cases of the variant have more than doubled in Bolton in the last week, and the army is being deployed there to help carry out surge testing, as Kevin Fitzpatrick now reports.
More now on the whole vaccination programme from Professor Adam Finn, who's a member of the Joint Committee on Vaccination and...
But a nice news.
I think he's not he's not the only person to not be there, around after the birth of a grandchild over the last 12 months. So many families have had to deal with that. But interesting that he's very, very cautious about resuming normal social activities.
Among the social activities people get up to, I know, on a Sunday morning is going out for a bike ride. Ali's tweeted us, his regular Sunday morning routine is having a coffee, watching breakfast, then going out for a bike ride. This morning, though, Nick, it's a chance you might get wet. Very much. Could you? There was a little bit of sarcasm there.
You're watching BBC Breakfast. The Andrew Marr Show follows us, coming up on BBC One at 9 o'clock. Let's find out what's going on. Morning.
It is just approaching 7:30 now.
Israel has carried out more airstrikes in the Gaza Strip in the early hours of this morning, 7 days after the latest violence erupted.
Earlier, the Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu said his government would continue to respond forcefully until security was restored. Let's talk to the BBC.
And it's 7:32. We're here on the BBC News Channel until 9 o'clock this morning. Coming up in the next hour.
News Channel, this is where we say goodbye to viewers on BBC One. Have a good day.